is that? Please let me know in the comments. Please let me know if you can hear my voice, if you can hear this, both together. Is it too loud, too soft? That kind of thing, that would be helpful. And I'll just be having a little bit of a fiddle, making sure everything's running. So, you know, grab a drink, relax, come and enjoy, give us a poke, and we'll kick it off in a minute or two, yeah? Renee, we have no formalities here. We just make stuff up and then I poke fingers and fun at you for a bit, and then with a bit of luck, questions get answered. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, sometimes they get lost in the spirit of time. Regarding your question, no, I've never used the dual FX. I like Ericsson's FX. I have a Pico DSP, which is essentially a squished down version of the dual FX, and it's extremely helpful and useful. And I would have a dual FX Ericsson's module if I had the money to buy one. I would probably get one if I had the room and the inclination at this time. I think they do a bloomingly good job. But yes, can you also, more importantly, can you hear me? That's going to be important. I'll turn this down in a minute, but if you can hear both of them, you know, let me know. Let me know. That's more formal than getting a question in early. Although good, you know, 10 points for that. Well done. Ollie Fickle V, you're very welcome for whatever it was that I did. DB, you can hear both. Good. Thank you. Good. Let me know if it gets distorted or anything silly like that. that it, Ollie? Did I scare you off? Nice. I'm not quite getting that one, am I? There. Okay, well, I better get on with things then, otherwise I'll get a bit lost into the jam, which of course is no bad thing, but we have things to talk about. We have places to be and things to go to and things like that. Do we not? So hello and welcome to this, the 20th live stream. I can't believe it. That seems amazing. Have I been doing this for well over a year? I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Welcome. You're so very, very welcome to this, the Molten Music Technology live stream here, streaming from a shed somewhere in North Norfolk. The heat has dissipated. We're doing all right. I've had a couple of cool, well, half a cool day, I think, where everything's just rested a little bit. Rested and rejuvenating, perhaps. Although not me, because I haven't slept well all week. I'm kind of just like at the end now, I think. And a good night's sleep would be a very good thing. So what happens in a Molten live stream? Well, anything could happen, really. But we're probably not that creative. So between anything happening, we will talk about gear. Maybe the last month's worth of gear. Perhaps we will talk. What probably happens is that we talk about stuff that people bring in the comments, because that seems to be far more interesting than just coming up with stuff. So yeah, we'll do a bit of that, chatting in the chat, taking out questions from that, talking about it. There might be a couple of topics that I've brought along with me to talk about, chat about, and we'll chat about that. I'm usually at least 10 minutes behind the chat, so if I seem to be very disconnected from what people are saying, then that's just how it goes. That's kind of YouTube. It's the way these things work. And if you've never been here before, you're very welcome. Please feel free to introduce yourself, to say hi. And the way things go here is that I'll probably get slowly drunk and then gradually start hurling more and more personal abuse as we go. So, you know, your opinion is worth tons, and please bring it, and then I'll just take it apart and spit it out for no reason. But it's because we love each other here. This is very much a safe space that we can share stuff. I'll poke some fun at it, but I mean it in a lovely, nice way. So please don't take offence at anything that happens here. It's all nice. It's all supposed to be good. It's all enthusiastic. It's all up. It's all positive. Because we're talking about gear and wires and stuff, but also software, synthesizers, hardware, audio interfaces, MIDI controllers, live performance, DIY, all that kind of jazz. And for the most part, I'll just sit here and keep on talking. Keep on talking until I've talked enough. And then we can all go home, which would be great. So, how y'all doing? How you doing? How you doing? I'm going to have a quick look at the comments right now just to see where we're up to. Lots of people saying hi, which is always nice. So I'm going to pop out this chat to see whether that lets me look at it a little bit better. So, how are we doing? Doesn't have much of a scroll on the side. Napoleon, greetings. Well done, getting here from Athens. Isn't Athens like I thought they'd ceased to exist purely because if it's been hot here, then Athens must surely be like the centre of the sun. One would expect. Mallorca, or was it Malaga? Mallorca? Oh, truth. I'm sorry if I mispronounce anybody or anything at this point. Napa, California. Scott, you're welcome. That sounds like a nice place. Is it near the coast? Or are you in the mountains? Audio's good, says somebody. That's good. It's a lovely patch. It is. I'm really liking this patch. It's the one that I used at Gringo's on Thursday night live performance. I put up a bit of a video of it earlier in the week, and I even played guitar alongside, which was unexpected. Let's bring this light in a little bit. But seemed to work really well, although I didn't take the guitar with me to the open mic electronic thing because, well, I'm under the impression that guitars are frowned upon at electronic open mic open electronic mic nights. Yes, so I didn't take the guitar to that, and they would have been too complicated. I'm not going to start swinging that about as I'm trying to fiddle with knobs and stuff. It's just too much. Anyway, I took this patch, this collection of stuff along, and it went really nice. It just jammed. It's such a nice. It seems to be a nice vibe thing going on. I mean, it again highlights my difficulty with making any kind of chord change. So I've got something going on, and I'm very much trying to work towards then making something else go on and then coming back to it, if you see what I mean. And that's one of those things in Eurorack which is actually quite difficult and something that I keep meaning to spend some time on. But as it was, I had things going on. If you like, we can take the patch apart and have a look at how it came together. You know, the different individual parts that make up the sum of the whole. Can do that if we like. Maybe in a little while when we run out of things to say. That might be good. But yeah, it's really nice. And I don't want to take it apart. I might do another recording of it next week to see whether I can capture it. Because it's developed since I did the video with the guitar last week. So some things have changed. Like the graphic VCO. Because the old problem was I was trying to get it down to take in 2 rows because that's far more convenient, taking 2 rows than 3, but I couldn't fit it in. And so I was just overflowing the 3 rows. Then I had a load of space. I thought, sod it, let's stick some more stuff in. So I ended up adding another 2 sound sources and bits and pieces and so on. And so it could be, and so it snowballs. That's how these things snowball. Jones the Stone. I have no idea what that is. I'm not even going to give it a go. It sounds like something from that TV show. It wasn't Ivor the Engine. It was the other one. Someone let me know in the comments. Somebody will know it. There was another one. It wasn't Ivor the Engine. It was... No, okay. Suitably bizarre. That's good. Hey, hello. First timer. That's good to see. I've already lost where I am in the thread. Okay, here we are. Hi, K-Man Music Deep Medi. That's a long name, but thank you for coming in. Germany. Good to see you. Munich. You want a recommendation for a 4/6 VCA? Do you mean 4x6 or do you mean 4 or 6 VCA? What I should probably resolve to do is try to answer questions as quickly as I can rather than waiting for other feedback, because the delay thing does get annoying. So, quick recommendation on a VCA. I've got a Veils. It's one of the first modules I got, the first VCA I got. In fact, it's still the only VCA I have. A Veils, it's got 4 channels on it. It does what it's supposed to do. It's easy to use. Looks like it's supposed to look. Stuff goes in, stuff goes out, and you can CV control the what's it. And there's an inverts. Is it exponential linear thing that I don't really have any opinion on that. But it seems to sound great. It has no particular character, I don't think. It's just a good, solid thing. I need to get more VCAs because I run out. I do have a lot of little mixers now, which kind of is a similar thing. And also I do have some CV control over the Molten, So that's kind of a VCA also, although it's just a bunch of soft mutes, but it does have that CV control which turns it into a bit of a VCA. And there's 8 of those, so I have a bit more. So I mean, that's this single module, the Molten from SSF Steady State Fate, has kind of solved a whole load of problems in just being able to hear everything at once, because it cascades down, so you've got 8 channels. It's like having a little 8-channel mixer, although there's no mixing, it just has mutes, which means you just turn stuff on and off, which is brilliant in of itself. And that's been extremely useful. I have, however, on order from Tesseract Modular, I've got a whole bunch of mixing. I just went full on it. I ran into Tesseract Modular a few weeks ago when I was browsing around looking for some kind of mixer solution, because I've been doing my mini synth thing. I don't know if you saw my ARP video or my drone video. Sorry, spiders. And in order to hear everything, I had to run it through a mixer. So I got this this lovely little mixer here, this Sub-Zero, very simple, but it does only have, I think, 8 channels at the max, doesn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 sort of, because it's got 4 mono, 2 stereo. So I was using this to hear everything, and I realised that I had no room really for anything else. I couldn't even do a send and return, because it has sends for effects, but I had no way to bring the signal back in because there were no spare channels, because there's no return channels. You'd have to just use a normal channel. So this got me pulling my beard again about mixers and how you use that. And so anyway, long story short, no, I'll just keep the long story long, I imagine, is that I then came across someone recommended a Tesseract Modular mixer, which is a Eurorack mixer, but it has the ability to switch between line and Eurorack level. So I thought, wow, because mixing is something that would be very handy to have in my rack, which I don't currently have very well. So I'm always fussing around with these little mixer ones and then a bit of the VCA to try to adjust levels. And I'm just having something simple to fade in and out. And I've been looking at things like the performance mixer, and the Bafaco big chunky one, but they take up a lot of space and they're very expensive. However, this Tesseract geezer, he had this line/Eurorack mixer with 4 channels per unit, so you could buy a few of these and stick them together with a master, and the master then had a couple of sends and returns as well, so you could then bring in some more effects. Brilliant. I thought it's an almost perfect solution. The reason it's not perfect is because the mutes are not soft mutes. It has mutes, but they're not Vactral controlled, so there could possibly be some clicking in there. But overall, it would enable me to use like a little skiff, potentially, to have mixing from normal synths at line level, as well as integrating it with my Eurorack. Seemed like a fantastic idea. So I just went for it. I threw him a bunch of money. I said, make some of those for me, and they should be coming in a week or so. So that's quite exciting. So I have no idea how we got there, but there we go. So things are always moving and always expanding, and there's always more possibilities as our situations get more and more flipping complex. I mean, all this hardware, what were we thinking? I mean, we got all very excited. I got very excited about the idea of doing hardware, of moving back into hardware, taking ourselves out of the computer. No, computer, no. We want hardware. And then, flip, how do I get to hear everything at once? Then, flip, how do I get to sequence everything at once? Is everything running off its own individual sequencer? Well, then how do I sync all that stuff together? And suddenly we find ourselves back into the situation we were in the 90s and early noughties, where just keeping everything going together was just difficult. We had too much stuff, and we were swamped in sync and SMPTE and trying to sync things up, and digital stuff was starting to move in. How do you get all that synced up? And of course, what the DAW did, what the computer did, was step in and say, look, just do it all in one box. Don't have to do it with all this hardware. You don't have to use all this cabling, this nightmare trying to sync this to this. Just do it all in software. It's ace. It sounds the same. It's just as funky and fabulous. And so we did. That's what we did. We sold all our stuff, went into the computer, and thought, wow, this is genius. Until we realised I've lost all my creativity. I have no ability to change anything helpfully with my fingers, and I've lost all inspiration. And so it was, and so music declined. I think it's fair to say once we stopped taking the drugs, it realised, this is quite an empty space. And thankfully we have all this hardware back, but of course it brings back all of these difficulties with connecting all this stuff together. Interesting, though. It's an interesting problem to have, though, I think. I think we approach it much more philosophically these days than we did back then when it was just a complete nightmare. So, right, so anyway, what are we doing? Hello, yes. Hello, Silas Echo. Nice jam, thank you. Thank you. If I don't mention your name, I am sorry. I'm just scanning through, okay? And if I don't answer your question, then feel free to ask it again. Oh, there's a message here to say, remember to guard your privacy. Look after your privates, everyone. Yeah. Hi, Jim. Hi. Michael, hi from Chicago. Didn't I speak to you earlier on email? I think I might have done. I don't remember. Mr. Have a Laugh. I bet you're a party animal. Oh, but you've got a good question. What about lyrics, concepts, stories and inspiration? Now, this is a thing. I'm going to talk on that. First I'm going to have a swig of coffee. Then it might get more dangerous after that. Because it's becoming apparent to me. I mean, my history is that I come from a singer-songwriter kind of vibe. Yeah, writing songs about stuff, playing guitar, busking, that kind of thing. So when it comes to electronic music, although I've always appreciated instrumental music, certainly, very much, ultimately, I'm a pop head or a rock head or a folk head or that kind of thing. I'm into songs, I'm into stories, I'm into being deeply affected and moved by things. Not just the music, but the poetry within it, the voice, the character. And I think one of the things that happens to us, myself included, when we hit this time of life, is that we don't think we have anything to say. And so we kind of, I mean, massive generalizations here, of course, that we find ourselves drifting towards making music instrumentally. We make sounds, we make soundscapes, we make environments, we make bangers, we make techno with the odd sample in it. And we stop telling stories. We try to tell stories with our music, but that's not really the same, is it? We're just trying to make a nice tune. But within that, we lose something. We lose character, I think. And there's a danger that it becomes very, very samey. Because the thing that really defines, I mean, all the bands that you've ever loved or acts that you've ever loved are usually defined by the tone of the voice, by the singer, either by what they say or how they sound. And that's kind of always been the case. And when we remove that, I mean, this has been prevalent in dance music, I suppose. I mean, forgive me, I'm not an aficionado of musical genres. I'm not, massively into dance music or EDM or a particular form of soundscape expression. I just enjoy music in all different sorts of forms, I haven't looked at it deeply for many, many years. I just enjoy various things. What I'm trying to say, I don't know, I'm just trying not to offend anybody. I don't know. But there's a certain sort of music where the vocal is irrelevant. It's just a noise or a la or just another instrument being used, and it's not actually trying to say anything. So what am I getting to? We have a lack of story, I think, in electronic music. We're not saying anything. We're making nice tunes and we're enjoying each other's tunes. I would say a lot of that is, I mean, speaking only from my own experience, is that things like having a job, paying a mortgage, having a family, bringing up a family, working through relationships, financial troubles, jobs, business, all that kind of thing, it occupies your life. And it occupies your life to the extent that you don't really have time to sit down and think about having anything to say. Because you leave everything out on the table all the time. You're working hard, you're busy, your kids zap all of your energy, you're working to try and keep a marriage together or a relationship going or contact with people in a social world. And so we lose, perhaps, that sense of self-reflection, of navel-gazing and sitting around writing those songs you did as a teenager, pouring your heart out into things that seemed so valuable and so important. And where does that go? Where does that go now? So, with those sorts of thoughts and stuff flooding through me, I've often thought a lot about introducing vocal back into this. Because I used to write songs, used to do that. And And in some ways there's a lot of barriers to that, as I say, barriers of your life, and just feeling silly. Who on earth would want to listen to that? Who on earth wants to listen to the rantings of, I don't know, what am I going to sing about? Going to sing about love? Really? Girlfriends? Boyfriends? You know, married with kids, mate. What? It's a different sort of thing. It doesn't have that connection. So I'm also not going to write sad songs, because I don't want to make up sad songs. It has to be something. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. So what I'm trying to say is that there is a lack of story in this sort of music. And I think it needs to return. And I think that's the next thing. I was speaking to somebody, speaking to Tegan at the electronic open mic night thing on Thursday, and she brought some noises and some soundscapes, and then she sang kind of along to it, using her voice again mostly as another instrument, as another sound, as another oscillator, if you like, and layered up some really interesting things. And that again, so it sort of spoke to me, and I'm thinking I really must start doing that, because otherwise our music is similar. You know, we all have the same sort of gear, the same sort of noises. It's like if you had, if you went to a folk club, you could hear the same sort of music every night, and it would sound the same, played by different people, different instruments, similar instruments, sounding the same. And it's only when a voice then cuts in that starts taking on individuality. So yeah, I've been thinking about that a lot. Trying to write songs. It's hard, man. What on earth, what rhymes with Brexit? But the difficulty with writing songs at my age, I find, is the inability to get over yourself, because you feel so stupid. I mean, how am I going to write a song about what? Prime Minister Johnson? Am I going to write about that? What? What am I going to write about? What is it that I feel? How does that cope? And how stupid would I feel singing it to camera? Am I supposed to look like some kind of pop star, like I'm singing in a music video? Good Lord. It just, I don't know. But at the same time, maybe that's exactly what we need to be doing. I don't know. I don't know. And there's lots of other thoughts and troubles, but I won't stay on it forever. But there you go. Whoever that was, yeah, have a laugh, geezer. Nice stories, inspiration. Yeah, good question. Where is all that? Right. So okay. Greetings, Jeff. Hi. How you doing? Silicon Valley. The mini synth jam. Yeah. I'm hopefully gonna do more of those. Trying to make some more music with the mini synths. Things like the Uno here, because I'm quite taken with it as well. I mean, I've had a few comments from people saying, they like the idea of seeing these littler synths being used together and how they can be used together, rather than everyone's got massive synthesizers and making big synthesizer tunes with loads of gear. Whereas, well, it's still loads of gear, but making music with the little stuff. See, that's interesting. That's what I'm trying to do. It's purely just trying to find time enough to do that. I mean, that's one of the reasons I picked the Microfreak out for this particular jam. Is like, okay, I need to spend some time with it. Is that any good? Is that any help? I don't know. It sort of is. It sort of isn't. I gave it a go. But I mean to spend more time with that. Certainly starting writing some words. Who won Pandemic? Matthew, hi. Hi, Matt, all right. What, geezer? Who won Pandemic? Well, we ran out of blue. It was as simple as that. We were taking it on, it was, I mean, the whole thing was a disaster. We hit like 3 epidemics so quickly, and it was just going everywhere. And we were playing the In the Lab expansion. We always like stirring stuff around in Petri dishes. And we'd just cured something, I think, and we hadn't quite cured blue, but we had blue splattered all over the lab, because we needed to. It's a sequence of disease, obviously, and so we hadn't yet cleared that. We needed to get those blue chips, those blue cues back out of there. Meanwhile, blue was just going crazy all over the board, and it was not pretty. So yeah, we just then suddenly ran out of blue cubes, and it was all over. So yeah. Very sad. We also had a strange situation where we had an infinite loop go on, where you had two cities next to each other, both on 3, and so one of them outbreaked, and so you stick a cube onto the other 3, which outbreaks and then sends a cube back, and you go, hang on, this can't be right, because it's just going to constantly outbreak itself. But no, of course, yeah, we remembered that that's not what happens. You don't outbreak back onto itself. Anyway, I digress. But it was fun. I hadn't played that for a while. We played 2 games last night. We played Champions of Midgard in the afternoon, which was very cool. I very much enjoyed that game. And then Pandemic after that. Good. It was good, wholesome, good old-fashioned board gaming is what it felt like. That was cool. Philadelphia, Smoky Oregon. So lots of them Yanks then, eh? Wow, we appreciate it. I mean, we're partners now, I think. As I understand it, Boris has now sold everything to Trump, which is awesome. You know, it's a great, $1, I'll buy your NHS for $1, he says, and there you go, $1. There we go, fantastic. We'll have all of that. Great, send us some pills. Super. So that's awesome. So yeah, special relationship. I think it's called being in your back pocket or something. I don't know. But it's it's us against the world now. Us against the world. Brazil. Good lord. No, it wasn't Thomas the Tank Engine. See, there's Ivor the Engine, and it came from the same animation house. You call it an animation house. It's a bloke in a shed. Some bloke in a shed was making Ivor the Engine, and he also made another one, which is probably also Welsh, I imagine, with a Welsh name, like Tia Og. Oh, that's going to drive me nuts. But no, not Thomas the Tank Engine. No. No, this is something else. This is all Ivor the Engine territory. Which I can't remember the name of the guy who did it now. Of course. So anyone been using Endless as Axis? Yes, I did. I did a live stream with it a little while ago. I haven't really used it much since, I confess. But I've enjoyed it tremendously. I don't really have the gear set up for using iOS musically very often. So there's only so much you can do on the internal speaker and the internal mic. So yeah, it's cool though. Very cool. Very, very keen on that. Have I started the Deckard's Dream? Yes, well, I've started it in as much as I've put things over there. But no, the parts haven't come yet. I'm still waiting for SynthCube to come up with the order. They said they were going to send it out at the end of last week. I haven't heard anything. But they were waiting on a couple of bits. So all I can assume is that they're still waiting on bits. And I'm just trusting that that's all going to come together. I don't know why they're not keeping me more updated. I find that a little disconcerting. But I don't have any idea who SynthCube are or how they operate. I've never bought from them before, so I have no expectation of how it is that they handle stuff or how soon stuff comes out, or if it could just be one bloke. It could be one bloke with a barcode machine. Who knows? I have no idea. So I'm just waiting for those parts to arrive. I have had the chips arrive. Thank you, Infinite Machinery. I'm trying to get that right. Yes, the chips have arrived. So I have the oscillators. I just need all the other garbage to make that work. I've also got pulses through, which is a little kit for the Turing machine, which has surface mount, and I need to do that kit very soon as a bit of a surface mount practice. But I've also got a bit of a holiday coming up, so trying to fit it all in. Try to fit it all in. Ba-ba. Need more VCAs? Yeah, always do. Dosgos, you're welcome. Laptops and optimizing stuff. Yeah. See, that's been my bag for many a year. Although I feel I'm starting to lose it now. Do I want to talk about the audio PC thing? Oh, I don't know. Maybe we get to it later. Hello for a strange man, 46 from the US. And Jim, hi. Good to see ya. Have I tried using Reactor or other modular software in combination with my hardware? Yes, I have. You should check out my video channel. I've got this channel on YouTube, right? Packed full of interesting videos. Some of them show you exactly how to use things like Bitwig and Ableton Live with your modular. Yeah, I've done whole videos on it. I have. Fantastic they are. You should go and check those out. So yeah, Reactor. Yeah, no, I tried that as well. I did it with Reactor 2. that was slightly more out there, I think. Because there's no, as far as I know, there's no instrument calibration in Reactor, or maybe there is, I just haven't found it yet. But anyway, yeah, it's cool. It's cool. It's almost like I have too much to do already. I have enough playing around with this to then integrate it with software. Seems to be even a bigger step. Only because I'm messing about all the time. If I actually sat down, put some space and time together into composing and to writing, then I think that's probably what I would do. Probably. I don't know. At the moment, I'm in the minds of just making something up, recording it, and then saying that's a track. Go with it. You know, that's the sort of mood I'm in with this business at the moment. I don't want to get myself lost in production, lost in taking too much time over these things. I mean, there are things to be gained in taking time over stuff, into tweaking and adjusting and practicing and going through it again and again. And also there's things to be lost in that. So trying to find a balance between it. I don't want to spend too much time faffing around. Once I've had an idea, I just want to, you know, cultivate that idea, let it bloom, take it, and then move on. That's the plan. That's what I'm going to be doing. Soma Labs Pulsar 23. Yeah, fascinating. Still not yet seen it beyond Super Booth, but fascinating. Looking forward to that. Yes. Modular to some degree presents the same problem as software, too many options. Yes and no. Only too much options if you have stupid money knocking around. I mean, because you look at this. I mean, so there are some comments on Thursday at the open mic about, oh wow, man, how much did that cost you? Must have set you back $5,000. Well, yeah, maybe. There seems to be a lot of stuff here, but I've only still got 3 oscillators. It's only a 3 oscillator synthesizer. That's all it is. How many choices do I have? Not a whole lot. I got oscillator to filter to VCA to out with maybe a delay on. It's still the same old, same old. It's not a whole lot of interesting stuff going on in there. It's very actually basic. A couple of sequencers, some gating, some rhythm. You know, there's no way that I have too many options to play with. It's still totally restrictive. So yes, I see what you're saying, but you have all of that in a single soft synth, you know, and more. And all of those flipping presets. Don't have a single preset here. Not a sausage, no presets. Nah, nothing. Although, I say that, I did work out how to take a snapshot of the graphic VCO, so I didn't have to dial it up every time. I could actually take a shot of what it was I worked out and then bring that straight back in at the gig when I turned the machine on. Which I couldn't get to work on the Variegate 4. I couldn't get it to save. It was mad. I'd saved channels 1, 2 and 3. Channel 4 I could not get it to save. Don't know what I'd done. And so every time I turned it on, it wasn't doing anything. I had to program the whole sequence back in, which was this bit here, that, which meant it was different every time I did it. Because if you know the Variegate at all, you'll know that you can't do anything very accurately on it. But I quite like it. Quite like that. That was a later bit that I added. Anyway, let's skip on through. Looking forward to next door build episode. Cool, yeah. Oh yeah, just finished yours on an Asus Prime X29. Great, with Apollo Thunderbolt. Ooh, wow, did that work out all right? Thunderbolt's a pain in the ass. It's better, so much better it was. God darn it, when we were first doing that on, I don't even remember what sort of motherboards, that was a disaster. I mean, I had like Asus and Intel on the phone shouting at each other, trying to get anything to work. Focusrite on hold on Skype, going, does anybody know how to get this to work? Gee whiz, that was difficult. But anyway, yes, much better now. Next part will be out. Okay, well, okay, we could talk about that a little bit. Essentially, I shot these videos earlier in the year. I shot the build of this computer earlier in the year. It's the last computer that I've made, which was back in March time, I think, February, March time. And I thought, I better video this because I don't know if I'm going to be making any more computers. And so that's what I did. And so I have it all in the can, as it were, and stuck on my computer, and I hadn't edited it down, hadn't had time to look at it. And so last week, or the week before, I thought, right, quick, I've got 5 minutes, let's have a go at that. So I edited down like one episode, thought, okay, that's great, that sort of about works. And then edited down the next bit. I had planned to do the whole lot in one go, but I managed to get 2 bits down, the bit talking about the concepts and the bit talking about the specs. I thought, great, and I threw them both up all by themselves. So I have more hours of video to edit down of the actual build. And it's a bit scrappy, to be honest, because I'm not sitting there talking to camera, looking like I know what I'm talking about. I'm sort of leaning in the computer, trying to get cameras in there to show what it is I'm physically doing, which is a really hard thing to get across, I think, particularly in my space. The space isn't ideal for that. So I'm doing that. I'm talking to camera as well at the same time, trying to explain what it is I'm doing. And I don't know, my memory of doing it is that it's a bit dry and it gets hard work and long. But anyway, I'm going to edit that down to see what that's like. And so that will be up as episode 3. Then episode 4 will probably be installing Windows. And then episode 5 will be testing. Because I did it as a Thunderbolt system. So I tested some software over Thunderbolt, got that to work. Because the process of getting Thunderbolt to work, certainly on this particular system, is a bit of a thing and worth talking about. So that'll be good. My only question really to myself at the moment is, do I need to insert another video? Because the reaction I got, particularly to the specs video, was quite extraordinary, that I really hadn't anticipated. I really hadn't anticipated it at all. I think it's time for a drink. I'm going to be talking about this. So I'm out of beer at the moment, or rather, well, I say I'm not drinking beer, but I did the other night. Oh yeah. I'm having a bit of a low carb thing at the moment, all right, because it's good for me. So I thought I'd go for for bourbon. So I've got some of this, which is quite nice. Maker's Mark, quite like it. It's quite, yeah, quite good. Smells like thinners. It does have this lovely neck thing, this wax on there. So I'm gonna have a bit of this, and that will help me talk about audio computers, I expect. So, chin chin. So yeah, I was slightly surprised by the reaction, because I'd forgotten just how passionate, is that the word? Passionate, pig-headed, how deeply people hold ideas of computers closely to themselves. So what I mean is that I got a whole load of comments saying, you don't want to do that, you want to do this, what, are you an idiot? Oh my goodness, why can't you tell us this, what a load of rubbish, that kind of thing. I wasn't expecting that at all. And people wanting to know the absolute, completely, well, yeah, what about this? You need to be measuring this if you want to be using that sort of motherboard. How dare you even suggest that you should be using that? Because that's just nonsense. You obviously can't use that. You should be using this. And so on and so on. And I was like, wow, where did all this come from? I'm just trying to share a bit of experience. And other people saying, of course, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. You've only been, I bet you've only really made one system, blah, blah, blah. What do you know of it? Just talking nonsense. So yeah, so that was nice. That was nice. I'd sort of left that world behind, because there was a time in my career of building computers, as I have done for 20 years, there was a time when I would fight on forums about these sorts of things. I would get stuck in and I would argue the toss about cycles, about tweaks on Windows, about virtual memory, about IRQs, IRQs and memory assignments. Used to argue about Intel, Mac versus PC, Intel versus AMD, 64-bit versus 32-bit. You name it, argued about it. Now, what I learnt, I think, is that the conversation is a waste of time. You're very rarely going to change anybody's mind on anything. I mean, it's the same as religion. I mean, I can talk about religion as well as till the cows come home, or politics, those sorts of things. I can get stuck into all those sorts of things. But you're never going to change somebody's mind in one of those conversations, or very, very rarely. And so it becomes a pointless exercise. It becomes an exercise in trying to impose your ideas and opinions and stuff which you see as valuable upon to other people who really do not value it. And it drags you down, and it becomes blah. So, you know, I sort of packed that in, knocked it on the head. So I used to be, you know, constantly on forums and bits and pieces like that. Not anymore, and I'm much better for it, I have to say. I feel much better for it. And what it allowed me to do is just get on with doing what I do, which is building computers. Now, there's an important thing to realise with what I'm trying to put across as building an audio PC, and that's that my experience of it comes from a business framework. It comes from having to supply a working system to a professional environment and have it not screw up, not fall over, not fail, not need to be tweaked or fiddled with. It has to arrive working and work out of the box, and it has to be supportable in the ongoing of that. So when people come to me and say, oh, well, you know, you can overclock it, mate, you could ramp it up to this, you know, do that, or, you know, the latest AMD Ryzen processors, right? Oh, they're just so much better than the Intel ones, so much faster. Yeah, great. That's fine. But can I actually deliver it as a product to somebody? Can I support it as a product to somebody? It's all very well building a machine for yourself or building a machine for a mate, because that's not necessarily, first of all, a professional environment, and secondly, you're there to look after it, and you know that system because you built it, so you can look after it. I'm selling systems to people who don't want to have anything to do with the computer side of computers. They just want to run Pro Tools, just want to run Sibelius, they just want to run Cubase, Ableton, whatever. They just want to run their software and forget that a computer has anything to do with it. And so they don't want to have to tweak things or restart it or you know, ease off on the overclocking if there's a problem, or troubleshoot this or troubleshoot that. They don't want any of that and shouldn't have any of that. And so that's where I'm coming from. So I'm not telling you how to build the cheapest, best value home PC. No. I'm showing you, hopefully, the ideas and the concepts behind building a flipping awesome PC that's going to work in any environment with any piece of software and do the job brilliantly. Now, if you build your own system with, you know, an overclock processor, with an AMD processor, you may eke out a little bit more performance. You may get a bit more. That's possible. Because I'm not saying it's the most powerful thing in the world. I'm just saying it's going to be stable and reliable. And that, to me, is far more important. So, generally speaking, I would ease off a little bit. It wouldn't be running at 110%. It will be running at 100%. It'll be running at what it should be running at. It's not going to be getting too hot. It's not going to be running too hard. It's not going to be caning the RAM so that it kills itself after 6 months. That's not good enough. It's got to last 5 years. It's got to last 10 years. So that's the attitude that I'm bringing to building a PC. You know, it's not the most cutting edge, because that's the other problem. I mean, when you're, again, when you're building PCs as a business, it's what's valuable is something that's been around a long time, because that's tried and tested and known. And as soon as something new comes out, it's a nightmare. You just want to go, no, I'm going to keep using the old boards until I can absolutely not find any anywhere, or until customers are crying out for something, for the new stuff, because they've heard about the new stuff. So that's the angle. You can't go for the cutting edge because it's not ready. It's not good. You have biases, which are beta biases, which are not really up to scratch. It's not stable. It will become stable. I mean, I've had situations where we just couldn't use a board because there was something in it which was causing glitches in audio. You couldn't get it to work reliably. It wouldn't do it. Or it would boot up, go round and round 6 times. Now, again, if you're somebody who's built your own system, it doesn't matter if it reboots 6 times before it starts up. Because, you know, you'll make a cup of tea and you'll come back to it and it's working, and you're working with what you've got. But I can't deliver that to somebody. I can't deliver a system and say, here you go, you spent $3,000, here's a computer that restarts itself constantly before you can actually get in. That's no good. That's no good. So that's the angle that I'm trying to bring to this. And so in some ways I'm feeling the need to throw in another video to talk about that a bit more, because I didn't really emphasize that. I think I gave that general impression and gave that idea across in the first 2 videos, but because of the amount of questions that I got from people who either haven't watched it at all or didn't understand it, I think perhaps I need to re-emphasize it. Also, expand upon a few ideas as well, and maybe talk about some specs. Maybe, because the problem with talking about specs is that you then freeze the video in time. And I want this video to be useful to people for years, you know, not just immediately useful to people who are building a system right now. And as soon as you start freezing the specs in time, then it becomes obsolete. But I am fully convinced that using the sort of ideas that I put across, I think, that it doesn't matter what the technology is, it doesn't matter what the spec is, if you just apply the basic principles of buying good quality stuff, not gamer stuff, you know, and aim high, all those sorts of things, buy brands, think about the cooling, you know, all those things are going to be helpful in moving forward. That's the idea anyway. So yeah, I might do another video just explaining all that. Or it might just be a handful of people who are idiots. I don't know. Who keep asking me these stupid questions. They're not stupid questions. They're valid questions. They're just not questions in my life. I mean, okay, I'll give you one reason why I don't use AMD. Now, this is a reason that doesn't apply to lots of people, but it applies to me. And the reason is that because I'm attempting to deliver a customer to somebody, that means I'm taking a system, I'm putting it in a box, I'm giving it to a courier, God forbid, and they are delivering it to my customer. And it then has to turn up, be taken out of a box, be plugged in and work. The problem with AMD is their socket design. And the socket design is the same. I can't believe it's still the same. I looked into it thinking, oh, well, maybe they've worked out those problems. But no, they haven't. It's still exactly the same. And what you get is a socket into which the CPU sits. CPU has pins. Okay, Intel's the other way around. The motherboard has pins, CPU sits on it and is held securely by a lever bracket thing. On AMD, you get the pins on the processor. That goes into the socket, and the socket has a little lever, little gentle lever that closes and just grips it. Just grips it a little bit, just a little bit. Now, the problem that I had is that, so I have built AMD systems in the past, is that you send it out, the AMD system, and you put on a nice big heatsink because you need that in order to draw the heat off and to keep it cool and to keep it quiet. So we use large, heavy heat sinks. That sits squat on the CPU and it's attached to it by some screws, sure, and also thermal grease in order to increase the conductivity between the two things, help the cooling, that kind of thing. It also acts as a bit of an adhesive as well. So this system then goes onto the van by the couriers, and the couriers hoofed it to your mate across the room, hoofed it off the back, hoofed it onto another van, and in that process the system undergoes some forces. It twists and it gets moved about in the box, even a very well padded boxes. We put boxes inside boxes with padding inside padding, but still this would happen. And at some point during its journey, and I'm speaking from a bit of experience, this happened many times, something flexes inside. Somehow the forces are such that the motherboard flexes enough that the CPU cooler ends up coming away from the board, you know, just momentarily, but in doing so it pulls the sodding processor out. The processor gets pulled out because it's stuck by this thermal grease to the underside of the cooler, pulled straight out. So when the customer receives their system, it looks completely fine because it's got there undamaged. They plug it in and it doesn't work. It doesn't work. And you go, what? There's no explanation. They open the case, they look inside, everything appears to be completely fine. Everything's screwed in, everything's attached, but it's just not working. So you then have to get it back, and you get it all back in, and you open it up, and you have a look, and you take the heatsink off, and you go, wow, where the fuck is where's the processor? And then, oh, processor's on the underside of the cooler. And this happened half a dozen times. It's just not worth it. Is that so? In your situation, when you're building a computer in your room that's never ever going to move, then it doesn't matter. Does it matter? No, not really. But if you're ever going to take that computer somewhere, if you're ever going to transport it, if you're ever going to send it somewhere, move it around the place, take it to a gig, then you are risking that happening. And so that is one reason why I do not recommend AMD. There it is. Unreasonable. Yes. God damn it. Is it unreasonable? Yes. But there you go. That's one. Whereas Intel, the socket is secure. The CPU is secure in there and it ain't going anywhere. There you go. True story. All right. I think I've said enough on that for the moment. Unless more questions come, I will skip on down. I have no idea what you've been talking about in the meantime. Who knows? What are we doing? God, it's nearly been an hour. See how these things go? See how these things go. Sing about synths. Yeah, could do that. Woo! Matt, okay. Oh, crikey, there's some stuff going on down here. So I'm going to skip down to where all the cash is, if that's all right. Matt, so money no object, which module would I get next? Well, I've already done that. You see, I already put down a Kickstarter on that Pittsburgh thing. So that's the module I'm getting next. What other modules interest me would be the Mimeophone from Make Noise. Really interested in that. I think that's a fabulous looking module. Then everything from Instruo and everything from Folktech. No, not everything from Folktech. I've had this kind of quite interesting love-hate relationship with Folktech, in that they release something and you go, wow, that's just amazing. Isn't that fantastic? Extraordinary. Look at it. It's so beautiful. Well made. Extraordinary. What a piece of work. But then when you go to listen to it, I find it tends to be mostly noise glitch machines. And that's not my favourite thing. I'm much more into melody, into the melodic. And so every time I get excited about a Folktech module, I then listen to the demos and think, well, no, maybe that's too far into the madness and not really about me. However, they are working on a whole range of new modules which are coming out to Kickstarter very soon, and they just look amazing. I mean, there's still plenty of noise and glitchiness in there, but you've got proper filters going on. You've got interesting filters, interesting envelope thingies and voices and oscillators and stuff, which is, yeah. So one of those, but don't know what the price of any of those is yet. But going back to Instruo, the two they had at Superbooth, not the tape one, the granular one, I thought was really very interesting. So that, I think, is really interesting. The Natural Gate from Rapid Elephants, can't remember which way around that is. It also is a great module that I'd be interested in having. But Instruo, I've got a whole range of stuff I'll be interested in. They're just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful modules. So those. So yeah, I've got a long shopping list, man. Long shopping list. Yeah, so either something from Folktech from their new range, something from Instruo. Oh, I mean, also there's the Analog League of Analogness, the big harmonic, because they got the Harmoneg from Instruo, yeah, and then they were working with this guy to make a bigger one of those, which then the Analog League, is that what they're called? They took over the development of that, and it's a big sort of super quantizer, harmonizer, programmable, polyphonic what's-it, and that just looks amazing, but I don't think I'd ever have the time to work out how to make it work. So something along those sort of lines. Is that helpful? Is that helpful? At the moment, I think the Mimeophone from Make Noise would be the most immediately useful. Could get really into that. And then the granulizer thing from Instruo, yeah, I think that would be instantly useful as well. Oh no, but now I'm thinking of the Nebula and bits like that from, what's it? Oh, and the spherical wavetable thingy. Oh man, there's so many. So many. Those things interest me a great deal. How is a new VCO working out? Good, good. New VCO is here. That's this channel. No, it's not. This channel. Oh, I turned it down. I like it a lot. Sitting here next to my Bafako Even VCO, both of these I built. But it's good, I've got it running straight into a little abstract data mixer so I can mix the waveforms together. The moment I've got a sine and a square wave together, I can bring in the sawtooth and the triangle. It's made no difference. If I take the square out, take the sine out, there's the sawtooth. God, I love that Joe filter. I should get another 3 of those. But yeah, sounds great. Sounds great, the 3340. Fantastic. Would I do the expander for the Deckard's Dream? Yeah, probably. If they sent me one. I mean, because my impression from hearing people talk about Deckard's Dream is that it's a little dry and could do with some effects, so I'll probably immediately be wiring it through bits and pieces. So having the expander, which contains a little bit of DSP, that's probably a good thing, I should think. And a bit more CV as well, I think. I don't know. You know, I should look into it a bit deeper than I do, I think. Oh, Michael, so you need Hyper-V, and so that means you need Windows 10 Pro, do you? All right, fair enough. If there's a reason to have Windows 10 Pro, then take it, But there's most people, vast majority of people, do not really have a reason to go with Windows 10 Pro. I mean, it's been a work of genius, I think, from Microsoft's part, just to put Pro on the end of something. It just makes everyone feel really grown up if they opt for that. Oh no, Windows Home? No, gracious no. I'm a professional. Heavens. Got to use the Home version. I mean, that's just for grannies, isn't it? Haha. So, you know, you go for the Pro version. And that's fine, you know, it's only an extra $100, £100 or whatever. But yeah, if you've got a valid reason for using Windows 10 Pro, then fill your boots. You know, go do that. Go do that. Local technique. Vocals are risky because they can ruin an otherwise I just learnt on my thing. An otherwise good track. Yes, absolutely they can. Yes, they can. It is absolutely risky. I mean, I have a voice which can sometimes be awesome. I occasionally have the ability to produce an awesome voice, but also not all the time. And so it's something that I struggle with and I wrestle with. And actually, is that any good? Can I get away with that? Is because it's me. And then you hear someone who's actually has a career being a musician and singing and releasing stuff, and they don't sound as good as you. You know, they sound a bit crappy themselves, or they just have their voice is their voice. So, you know, you have to think about that as well. I mean, I don't think it has to be an X Factor thing. You don't have to be an awesome singer to be successful in getting your stories and your ideas across. I don't think that's necessary. I think you just have to put your heart into it. That's all that matters. It can be as gravelly or growly or weird as you like, as long as it's, you know, it's in the moment. And it might just sound crap. That may just be it. But there we go. Yeah, risky. Very risky. But, you know, I mean, there's so much mediocre stuff out there that why not add your own mediocre voice to it? You know, what harm could it do? What harm could it do? I mean, the chances of you actually being, of one being actually successful at this lark, musically, is so slim that we really shouldn't be worrying about it. We really should just be banging it out there if that's what you want to do. And I'm kind of feeling that. I mean, we'd all, of course, you know, music, all this is all about, some of it is all about being successful somehow. And that's, yeah, and that's still a draw. That's still a draw after all these years. I'm still enticed and excited about the idea of actually making music for a living. You know, that would be extraordinary. Something else I forgot to thank as I scroll down through here. Or have I gone back up? Oh, I'm back up. Where am I? Back down here. Oliver Postgate. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Nog in the nog, Ken Fuller. You are the man. You are the man. Nog in the nog. Yes. I can't remember now what that was in reference to. I think it was somebody's name. I don't know. But yeah, Nog in the nog. Thank you for that. Oh, good grace. Thanks, yes. Potty time, that was a whole different school, I think. Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce your name. Mr. Abel, or is it Kajarton? Is it a silent J or a silent K? I don't know. Thanks. That's awesome. I will get some more beer. I really, really appreciate that. Ever use a vocoder or MS-20 input for vocal productions? No, I haven't. But yes, it is absolutely the sort of thing I was thinking of. If I am going to do vocals with Eurorack, it will be partly atmospheric, as in creating sounds, creating just vocal stuff coming through, but also processed vocal stuff. Maybe even sliced up into some kind of sample slicer type module, messed about with, and then creating layers. Yes, but also songs. So a bit of each. Maybe I'll start with just going that kind of thing. And maybe it's not yet to the hey, here we go, we're gonna make some synthy tunes for you today. What sort of sound are you after? I can sing about synths. So that's an expensive basic setup. What? Whoever said it was a basic setup? What? Oh. Everyone got views on sequencers? No, you have to ask me. It's my show, mate. Not anyone. Who cares what the rest of them say? It's what I say. No, I don't. Not just a minute. Maybe we'll come back to that. What? Sergio, what are you talking about? Autoexec.bat. Are you in MS-DOS or something? Are you trying to get the memory manager to run? You trying to get enough memory to run Monkey Island 2? Is that what you're doing? Oh dear. Did I go to Brighton? No, Brighton's a long way from here. I didn't go to Brighton. Any chance of getting into VCV Rack on the Surface Pro to test modules for your real world Eurorack modular? VCV Rack it's just a thing, it's so immense, it's so massive that I don't know I can do it justice at the moment. That's the thing. That's the problem with it. And so I'm slightly kind of, I don't know, because it would take a long time to get my head around it. I have used it a couple of times. Certainly when version 1 came out, I had a quick fiddle with it, and that was great. I think it's great, but there's so many modules that we find ourselves wandering into that. It's software, so it can be as many of things as you like forever kind of vibe. And I don't know that I want to do that. I'd actually rather spend time working with this smaller selection of modules and understanding it better and getting more tunes out of it. I'd actually rather do that, funnily enough. But from a journalistic point of view, from a testing gear point of view, then yeah, I really should spend more time with VCV Rack and see what I can make of it. It does have, it's awesome, absolutely awesome. I would just have to work out where I want to direct and spend my time, if you know what I mean. Please do an updated review of Traction. Oh, I mean to. I really mean to. I'm so sorry, Traction. I did version 7, right? I did a flipping awesome review of Traction 7. And that's now a long time ago. And it's still massively viewed. But I keep meaning to do another review. Just reviewing a DAW, it's just a big deal. It takes a lot. It takes a lot. And I have other things I have to look at. I'm now the Studio One guy for Sound on Sounds. I do have to spend what DAW time I have mostly in Studio One because I need to be writing about that. That makes sense. So the day job, if you like, keeps getting in the way. But I'll see what I can do, man. I'll just really see what I can do. I can't believe how many videos I got out last month because I just did the Molten Music Monthly, as you know, earlier in the week. And just looking at the gap between the last one, I've suddenly done like 8 or 9 videos. How did I do that? I usually do 4 between each one. So my output has just gone, and I'm not entirely sure why that is. So who knows? Maybe I do have room for all these things. Maybe it's just because it was the holidays, although only just become the holidays. Don't know. Anyway, that's weird. Thanks, Remy. Thanks. That's really nice. Really nice of you to say. Oops. Hey, Cisco, Mr. Cisco, Master Cisco, Sir Cisco. I appreciate that. That's great. Yeah, bears are hard to come by around this way, but cables I can deal with. Diego says, do a bang for the buck audio PC build. Yeah. Oh, it's difficult. Every time I venture down that end, because I mean, at one time, back when I was doing Rain computers, business was so awful. This was during the recession, just to point out, that I did a lot of local PC support work, you know, just to try to supplement the income. And so I ended up building a couple of cheap PCs for people. It's just a nightmare. I can't cope with it. Everything about it just feels so horrible and feels like it's going to fall apart at any moment. But I know obviously that's what normal people build for themselves all the time, and that should be fine. And people buy computers from Tesco's, and they buy them from, you know, crappy little computer shops, and they work and they do the job and all that kind of thing. It's just because I'm used to aiming pretty high, and certain things are very important to me, that it just felt like I was building crap. It was terrible. I mean, they worked all right, kinda, but I don't know. So it's difficult for me, for those sorts of reasons, to work below the grand, if you know what I mean. You know, I keep trying to put PCs out there for $699, $799, but you really were cutting corners, and difficult. But you know, when I say a grand, I mean a lazy grand. You could probably do it for 800 quid if you shop around, but of course you're not paying for the labour, so maybe it's a lot less than that, a bit less than that. But I mean, I'll try. I think with this third video, that is one thing I'd like to do, because people are asking about specs. Because I mean, ultimately, these videos, I'm going to slap them on a web page, because I own a couple of domains. One of the domain is theaudiopc.com, and I mean to stick these videos up there with relatively up-to-date spec lists and guides on what to buy and that kind of thing as well. So in this extra video I might talk about that a little bit, with the danger of freezing it in time, of course, but that's okay, so I'll be directing people to the most up-to-date version, which should hopefully be on this website that I haven't quite put together yet. So yeah, I think I will try to do something like that, because you can go lower without sacrificing everything. You just have to think about, maybe I don't need the posh power supply, maybe it can be a little bit noisier, maybe I don't need the big fan, you know, that kind of thing. Maybe you can get away with 8 gigs of RAM, because you can get away with 8 gigs of RAM. This is a conversation that came up a lot in the thing. Oh no, minimum of 32 gigs of RAM you need. Just, God, dear. Minimum of 32 gigs of RAM. What nonsense. God darn it. And so because of that, right, you have to check out my Instagram feed or something. I dug out the old Carillon brochure, because I used to build Carillon computers back in the day. And our biggest one that we had in our original glossy brochure that we produced for the Carillon AC1 audio computer, at the back of it was the entire product range, because at that time you didn't realise that computers changed every 2 months. We thought they'd stick around for ages. And so our top of the range Carillon AC1, when we released back in 2000, I think it was, could have been 1999, can't quite remember. It was called the UltraSynth 8, and it had a soundscape card inside, which had multi-client ASIO drivers, so you could run standalone synthesizers on each channel and run them all along at the same time, and you'd run those out into your 8-bus desk or whatever, and into your tape machine. No, how do we do all that? No, I guess we're recording it returnally. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But you would, send it out of your individual outputs and mix externally. So it came with things like Reactor and the Pro 53, Pro 52, can't remember. It came with Infinity and Repo and all these synths and bits and pieces. Oh, a Tasman, stuff like that. And it all ran at the same time, doing all this stuff and looking at the specs. So it's running all these soft synths, and I tested this machine, and myself tested the machine running all this software, because we weren't going to sell anything that wasn't tested to be doing what it was supposed to be doing. That was the whole point. So super low latency, multi-channel, everything running at the same time, all these software synthesizers, just fantastic. Giga sampler in there as well, probably. And it was a P3. It was a 1 gigahertz Pentium 3. It didn't have 1 gigabyte of RAM. It had 512 megabytes. 512 megabytes of memory. And it had a 20 gig hard drive. That was it. That was the top of the range. And people are telling me, oh mate, you need 32 gigabytes of RAM. It's just nuts. It's just nuts. I mean, another example I can give you is that both Ableton Live and Propellerhead's Reason were 32-bit until very recently. Literally a couple of years ago did they make the move to 64-bit, allowing them to address more than 2 gigs of RAM. 2 to 4 gigs of RAM, depending on how you set your system up. So, you know, people just talk nonsense. However, their experience may be that they have a bloated piece of software synthesizer that requires a huge CPU and loads of RAM to run. That may be true. If you're running an orchestra and you want to load up 64 huge instruments, then you might well need a whole load of RAM. But you'll be surprised at how small and how little. If you're running something like Reason with all their synths inside and nothing particularly sample based, you need no RAM at all. It doesn't take up any RAM because it's all about the CPU processing. It's only when you're loading samples and holding those in RAM that you start using up memory. So, you know, don't listen to these crazies. It can be much simpler. You can use a very low powered computer to run decent audio software and stuff. What I'm trying to get across is that you just need to aim as high as you can in order to get the best you're going to get out of things. But the getting stuff because it's good to get it and getting stuff because you have to are two very different things. Very different things. So yeah, I found that interesting. Yes, the MS-101 has been renamed to the MS-1. I have an MS-101. It's quite unique. I'll be putting that on eBay soon, I imagine. No, I won't, because I actually quite like it. So I'm going to keep on to that. Yeah, there's a lot of good VCV Rack stuff out there. There's a lot of good people doing great work and great videos and stuff on VCV Rack. So I don't think I have anything particular to add to that content and that community. So, you know, that's another reason, really, I suppose. I've got a fly buzzing around my head. Thanks. I did have a dot on my lens, apparently, for ages before that people were getting annoyed about, but I don't know. I did give it a bit of a clean. Any passions or hobbies besides music? That's a nice question. Just going to scroll down a bit because I appreciate that I'm always well behind the curve. Oh, there's a lot of talky. A lot of talky. Okay, I'm just going to skip to the bottom. I might come back up a bit later. What was the question again? Oh yeah, other hobbies. Do I have other hobbies? Drinking? Cooking? No. Other hobbies? Yeah, see, that's the thing. I have too many hobbies. That's part of my problem. I'd like to do lots of different things. I am interested in things I'm interested in. I'm interested in martial arts. I'm a black belt in Kung Fu, which is nice, but I'm nowhere near fit enough to really hold that seriously or with any particular weight. So So I'm endeavouring to move towards a position where I can improve my fitness in perhaps the last chance I'm going to get, because I'm nearly 50 and I'm figuring that, wow, I'm not going to have that much longer to get fit before the decline really sets in. So that's something that I do spend some time on and wish I could spend some more time on, and always trying to move towards doing. But at the moment it's very casual. It's once a week, and that's enough. That's enough for me. But I've been doing that I've been doing martial arts all my life, but only seriously in the last, sporadically seriously. But this time I stuck at it for like 5 years now, and that's cool. So I do that. I very much enjoyed board gaming. I used to enjoy computer gaming. I just don't really get the time to do that anymore. Same with the Xbox. I always preferred PC gaming to Xbox gaming, but you know, as a family we have an Xbox, and so I do be that too. But I just do not find the time for that at all. So that tends to take a back seat. I've got games on my computer because one of the great things about building audio PCs is that you buy a lot of gear, and a lot of it comes with freebies, free games and bits and pieces turn up, which you take those out because you're not going to send those with the system. And so I've got quite a few games that I've just never started up, which drives me nuts. I mean, I used to spend all-nighters on computer games back in the 90s, you know. Oh yeah, so I mean, I've got a lot of nerdy hobbies. I like Warhammer, for instance. I like painting the little fellas. No time for that. I've got no time for that. I like archery. I don't have much time for that. I've got a lovely bow and arrow and a recurve bow and bits and pieces. I like doing that. Yeah, so sort of too many hobbies. I like to climb. I would like to climb. But you know, as a family, we're kind of those people that do something once and go, yeah, we're experts at it, and then we want that to become our life, and it's our life for about 3 weeks, and then we move on to something else. So so yeah, try lots of things, and I wish I had more time to become fantastic at things. I just can't seem to stick at one thing. I tend to get bored, I think, and flitter about on something else. So yeah, thanks for that question. What's more important, CPU speed or number of cores? See, that's a trick question. I'll tell you why it's a trick question. It's because it depends on your particular application. Because if you have a piece of software that can only handle a single core, then obviously the speed is going to be more important. If you have a piece of software which handles lots of cores, then the cores are going to be important. But also the speed is important as well as the cores. But you tend to find the more cores you have, the slower the speed. So there's a bit of a trade-off, a bit of a balance going on. Which one's more important? It really just depends on your environment and what you're doing and what you can afford. And if you get a new modern processor that's got 8 cores, that's great. Even if you're only using one of them, it's still going to be a fantastic processor. So, you know, it's a trick question. You're using an old Dell Core i3 4 gigs of RAM. Good for you. Good for you. Yeah, I've heard people talk about Bridge in vis-a-vis rack and how that's perhaps not the solution they hoped it would be. In fact, they are. I understand they are abandoning it themselves. Not sure what that means for the future. Whether they're just going to go, sod it needs to be standalone. Just going to have to deal with it, guys. Or whether they have plans for it to become a plugin later on. I don't know. I think they're completely within their rights to say, sod it. You know, it's not going to run into a door. You use it like you do Eurorack. It's a standalone thing. If you want to run it into another computer to record it, do that. If you want to capture the performance, I'm sure they can do that somehow. But maybe running it into a door is just not what it's about. And perhaps that's what it should not be about. And if you want to use a plug-in version, then maybe you'll be looking at voltage modular or soft tube modular. I don't know. I mean, that kind of cross-software synchronization and trying to move from one thing to another is tricky. It's difficult, and maybe that's not worth their time spending on it, which is an open source piece of software, you know. Used to be a huge advanced squad leaderboard war gamer in the 90s. Cool, wow. That sounds like 40k to me. I mean, I did used to be into Dungeons and Dragons a bit. I mean, Matt has dropped in. I don't know if he's still here, but he is the master of all dungeon masters, and I bow to his masterly of marshalness because I've only ever made it up being a dungeon master. I've never really done it for proper, but I used to enjoy it and like it. Certainly, I also used to like the books, the dice books, and bits and pieces. Yeah, all that rigmarole. I mean, I'd be a cosplayer if I had the time, you know. Comic books. I did at one point when I first got the iPad, I think. I absorbed thousands of comics because I'd never really had the access before. And suddenly I had an app for reading comics and I spent hundreds of pounds absorbing stuff. And it was great. Oh, what a fabulous thing. I mean, you know, the art, the storytelling is just amazing. There's just not enough time in this world. I do appreciate how nerdy all this sounds. How I'm into nerdy stuff. It just is that. But I'm also very much into art. I enjoy film, you know, more than anything. I can sit and watch films. Just extraordinary stories, visual things. I just love it. Absolutely love it. Yeah. Favourite synth in the kitchen table collection? Well, let me tell you. So I only did 2 days worth of that kitchen table thing. I didn't spend super amount of time on everything, but to give you my general impression of how I felt about the synths that were there, I can tell you that the Microfreak, for instance, was quite dry sounding, and it's got a great filter, but I tend to find that I'm accidentally selecting stuff. I'm forever going back to this preset knob, which I don't mean to, and I do, and I touch it and then everything's gone. Because I'm finding the menu system quite confusing and things pop up and I don't quite understand what I'm doing. So the Microfreak is still a bit of a mystery. Using it in this particular patch, I found a great sound. It sounds fantastic. So it has the potential to sound awesome. Now, on the kitchen table thing, it was a little bit troublesome. Struggled with that a bit. Same with the Sculpt. I mean, they're similar in that they're paraphonic to some degree, or polyphonic to some degree, and some of the functionality is kind of hidden within knobs and menus and stuff, and so both of them are not quite as hands-on as other ones. I mean, this is the Sculpt here. The Sculpt. Don't like this at all. Don't get on with this. But then I don't like this a great deal either. It has its interesting things, as does this, but I don't know. But I was certainly able to find interesting things within the Sculpt and within Microfreak, but neither of them really threw themselves at me as fantastic. The MS-101, on the other hand, the Behringer, is fantastic day and night. It's always fantastic. It's just that one sound. No, it's not one sound. Obviously, it's lots of sounds. But it's just that one idea that it is what it is, and it's there, and it's all laid out, and you move stuff about, and it changes the sound. You're never lost. You're never not sure what's going on. It's great. It absolutely does the job. It's a great little synth. Absolutely great little synth. The Uno, this little thing, now I thought I wouldn't like it because of its lack of control and all this business here, all this matrix business, but actually I did, because every time I sat down with the Uno, you could hear it, it cut through, and it delivered every time. Moved a few things about, oh yeah, that works. Once you got your head around the little matrix section here, so you knew what you were controlling, because that was the confusion with the Uno. You're going, what am I doing? Oh yeah, it's on here, this one, is it shift? Oh god, that sort of thing. But once you got the hang of that, the sound was great. It sounded fantastic all the time, without a doubt. So what else did I have? I had the Craft synth, which I can't reach from where I am over there, and that's like a little version of the Sculpt. And that was really it was so powerful that it was overwhelming. So, you know, you've got the drone going on or the arc going on, there's just this cacophony, or not quite cacophony, but this noise going on. You suddenly turn down the Craft synth and everything just goes back to clarity, because it was creating this huge sound going on. So it has some effects and delay and reverb and stuff going on, and that tended to overwhelm a bit. So it's a very fat, very imposing synthesizer. So yeah, I quite enjoyed that. The thing about the wobbly knobs everyone talks about, you know, it's a bit of a reality, but it's because they're not pots, they're encoders, and encoders feel different. They don't feel like pots because you're not turning a thing and a piece of thing. It's a digital encoder, and so there's nothing wrong with them. They just don't have the physicality that a normal pot does, you know, so it feels different. And then there's the harmonium, which sounds like an acid synth, and it does, and it is, and it always will be, and that's great also. So, you know, they all have their things. They all have their things, and I need to spend more time with them before I get down to it, because I want to, over the summer, I hope to sit down and review each one individually, because I think that's important. I think they'll be interesting. But I need to spend more time with something like the Microfreak and the Sculpt before I can really start commenting on it. Because I mean, I don't know about you, I get quite frustrated with some synth demos that I see, which are essentially just a quick walkthrough of their functions and a first impression you get. That's the impression I get sometimes from some synth reviews I see, and I struggle with that. I don't always get the impression that they've spent a great deal of time with it. You know, I think they're just stepping us through the presets sometimes. And maybe these things require a little bit more thought, a little bit more time. But then I tend to procrastinate about it far too long when I should be banging out videos that are helpful to people, you know. So hopefully by the time I get around to reviewing these, they'll still be available. I hope so. I hope so. Marvel or DC? Yeah, thanks for that. Well, I'm one of the few people who really enjoy the DC movies. I love them. I thought Superman vs. Batman was flipping awesome. It was just, oh, it was out of this world. It was dark and horrible and disturbing and, sober. It wasn't jolly like a Thor movie. It was kind of deep and raised some interesting questions, I thought, about aliens, about superheroes, and how that relationship works. I mean, it had its silliness, of course, and plot holes. Yeah, why not? But I really liked its tone. I liked the darkness of it very much. So yeah, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the Justice League as well. I thought it had some really sparkly moments, and the Wonder Woman stuff, of course, has been completely ace. So yeah, I'm happy with the DC stuff, but I thoroughly enjoyed the rollicking ride that's been the Marvel stuff too. That's just been amazing all the way to Endgame. I'm hoping to see Spider-Man. I'm hoping to see Spider-Man next week. So don't tell me anything about that. We just saw Captain Marvel again on the telly because we got the disc through the other day, which is awesome. I love that cat thing. That was just brilliant. Just brilliant. Although, I mean, I wish, I don't know, the loss of the eye thing with the cat, I think they could have made something, it just seemed too mild. Do you know what I mean? Anyway. Ba ba ba. So yeah, if I've missed your question and it's still burning, then do feel free to ask it again. I don't mind you repeating yourself because I've kind of skipped a bit to the bottom. I'll just have a quick scan back up again. People are arguing over cause. Am I worried about recent Intel vulnerabilities where the fixes to disable hyper-threading and reduce performance? No, I'm not worried about it because I've never heard of it. So I'm not worried about that at all. I'm sure it's a thing, but there we go. Things happen. Things happen. You need 32 gigs of RAM if you use 20 gigabyte plus sample libraries. No, you don't. That's incongruous because it has to do with individual sample sizes, not the size of the library. I mean, you know, if you've got to load all 20 gigs worth of samples, you might have to run 2,000 instruments. So that doesn't seem to make any sense somewhere. So sure, you can run 20 gig sample libraries in 2 gigabytes of RAM if you're only using small samples. So, you know, you need to get the connections more accurate in order to give a more accurate flavour as to what you're talking about. I understand what you mean, of course. I'm just pointing out that that's not a particularly accurate way to talk about it, I would say. But love you anyway. Yeah, that's it. RAM for samples, clock speed for synths. Yeah, absolutely. That's the general idea. Da, 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 da. Who's a good retailer for Korg in the UK? I think anyone. I think they're in every shop. You know, PMT. What shops exist in the UK anymore? The one in Norwich is a PMT. I know that. Who else is about? I think didn't they all go bust? Academy of Sound. No, that doesn't. That's not them. Guitar amp keyboard, are they the other one? I can't remember. I'm out of touch. Coconut horses and souffle hats. God damn it, are they good? I mean, you know, the way they go sideways. I've just never seen the like. That's the thing. Andrew, have you just turned up? I missed your arrival, man. We usually like to have a round of applause. Oh, disappointed with that. I must have been talking some rubbish. Yeah, I'll build you a new computer, mate. See, I've been toying with the idea of replacing my current, I've got a whole shop thing going on pretending to build computers, of replacing that with a throw money at Robin until he builds me a computer button. And so just doing like custom jobbies, really expensive ones. Maybe. Because, I mean, I was sorting out a guy recently who bought a computer for me 3-4 years ago whose graphics card went boom, and funny enough it wasn't the graphics card that I put in, it was his own graphics card. Anyway, so I went to help him with that, and he's desperate to buy his next computer from me. He won't buy it from anyone else. You know, that kind of loyalty, man, you can't buy that. That's extraordinary. You know, that makes me feel really sort of warm and gooey inside. So I might well build him a custom system. My only slight fear is that once you're out of the game, things move so quickly that it's difficult to really keep up and stay with it. But I would say the saving grace to that is just to keep up with what other people are doing. So, for instance, I've done a lot of work with Scan up in Leeds, are they? I can't remember. Anyway. But the guy, Pete, there at Scan, who runs the audio department, we've been working together on these sorts of things for years. Because I buy a lot of my components, or did buy a lot of my components from Scan, he's sort of been my support person, and we got to know each other through various forums and bits and pieces. We see each other at Synthfest, stuff like that. And we've worked together a lot on testing motherboards and getting things sorted out and working our way through problems and issues and bits and pieces. So I've worked quite closely with Pete. And they build great computers over there. I would never hesitate to recommend one of their audio workstations. I mean, they're a much bigger firm. You don't quite get the personal experience that you would do going with me, of course, obviously. But great prices, they make a good product, and I absolutely trust Pete completely to work out any problems that you would ever encounter. So I imagine if I'd build a computer in the future, I would essentially borrow their spec or even buy the computer from them and then do my own tweaking and install on it and testing on it and move on from there. You know, that's a good way of... Well, that's going to be the way I imagine that I recommend people staying up with specs, is to check the spec that Scan are doing on their current range of audio computers and follow that as a guide. That would be wise, I think. Any final thoughts about the grid from Bitwig 3? Yes, my biggest thought about the grid from Bitwig 3 is why don't they put a great big The Grid button in Bitwig 3? Because the last time I had a go with it, when I was doing stuff with Modular, with going through the Complete Audio 6, I couldn't remember how to activate it, how to find the grid. Where's this grid? Where is it? How do I make the grid happen? And it was so frustrating. And of course you load it as a device. Why would you load it as a device? It seems nuts to me. There should just be a big button, grid, and there it is. It needs to be that. Not it's just one thing in the list, a browser thing that you're trying to find. God, it drove me nuts. So they need to do that. They need to make more of it. Make it just a big button. Insert grid, you know, because it's a wonderful place to play. Absolutely wonderful. Yeah. So there you go. I need to spend more time in the grid, I think. Raspberry Pi and Arduinos, are they useful for CV modulation? People use them a lot in all sorts of things. They seem to be extraordinary. I have a Raspberry Pi. We play retro games on it. I've never thought about trying to create modules with them, but extraordinarily powerful things. People use them for all sorts of things. So yes, all about that. How's the bourbon going down? Pretty good. I don't think the bourbon's worth $400 though. Thanks, Jeff, for pointing that out. It's not. It's like 25 quid. I think it is. Andertons, there you go. Thank you. And Guildford, they have Korg. Yes, of course. Right. Yeah, PC building is a whole other thing. Is my Synthfest thing? Oh, thanks for pointing that out. That's really nice. Thanks, Elaphobian Tube. Yeah, I'm doing Synthfest. As in, I'm doing Synthfest. I'm at Synthfest. I'm doing a seminar on getting started with modular, which is flippin' exciting. I have no idea what I'm going to do exactly. I'm sure it'll be fine. It'll be fine. I think I'll probably try to be too funny, so I'm going to need to just ease off on the funniness, perhaps, Just try to do it, try to be as clear as possible. Clarity is important. Will it be live streamed? I have no idea. I have no idea. I mean, probably not, because I guess Sound on Sound want people to come. They want people to come and be there for real. So I don't know. I mean, it might well be videoed and then put up later. That's certainly something that would be possible. Have they done that in the past? I don't think they have. I don't know. Honestly, don't know. So you might just have to come along. But yeah, I'm very, very pleased to do that. It's turned it into a whole thing. I mean, it has its pros and cons. I mean, the cons being that I have to be there now from the Friday night and then all day Saturday till the Sunday morning. I've got to be at the whole thing for ages and sort of socialise and talk to people, which is nice. I mean, that's lovely, but it's out of my comfort zone, you know. I'm very much in my comfort zone, being slightly sozzled on my own. Talking to the imaginary millions far more than I mean, it's just personal anxiety. It's the belief that I'll get found out as being a bit of a fraud amongst all these people from Sound on Sound who do know what they're talking about, you know, because no, of course I know. I just keep reminding myself that I shouldn't say I don't know what I'm talking about, because then why would people come to my my seminar? Because I do know what I'm talking about. Yeah, I think I do. I've come to the decision that I do know what I'm talking about, so I should be listened to. Yeah. I need a bag of crisps. So yeah, I don't think it'll be live streamed, but it should be good. It should be interesting. I seem to find myself writing articles on getting started in modular a lot for lots of different places at the moment. And it's always interesting because each time I write it, it seems different, which is good. It's good if you're writing for different places. So it's interesting how that comes about, and it always brings up different ideas and different thoughts about it. In as much as that there is no one solution. There's no one answer to that question. So yeah, I just have to see what we come up with. But it should be, yeah, it should be fun. Come along. Come along. Oh, $400 Bitwig. Right, not $400 whiskey. So yeah, the other thing I'd say about the con side of that is that normally in the past, historically, I've brought my son Alfie with me to Synthfest, and we've spent the day. It's been a bit of a, you know, a day dad and boy trip out, and I'm not going to be able to do that because I have to be there the night before, and you know, going out for pubs, drinks, and meals and stuff. Can't really drag a 12-year-old kid with me to that kind of thing. So that's the downside, is that I can't take my kid with me. And actually it was going to be the other kid as well, who's now 9, 10. He's 9. I was going to drag him along too. So that's not going to happen, which is a shame. Something went beep. But never mind. On the upside, I'm doing a flipping seminar on behalf of Sound on Sound. I mean, this is the thing, you see. That just thrills me. But I've been writing for Sound on Sound for ages, but every time I do, it thrills me because I think, oh, that's just amazing. I can't believe I'm writing for this magazine. That just seems nuts. And yet I am. And I've got more stuff coming. I've got a weird piece of software to review that I can't possibly understand. It's a bit like, it has elements of vocal extraction. I don't know if you read the piece I did on Acid Next in the current Sound on Sound, but it had all this taking stems out of mixed music business going on that boggled my mind. And I felt I just had to be kind of honest about it. I hope that came across honestly and, you know, balanced in some way. Anyway, so I got that, and I've also got a big icon mixer, door controller, I think I'm reviewing as well, which is cool. Really, really cool. I love it. Such diverse things I get to do with Sound on Sound, and it's a massive challenge because they're not necessarily the sort of things I use every day, and so it's a matter of applying myself to how is this used, how does it operate in a situation, and how well does it do that, and how well does the workflow work for someone who's approaching this perhaps for the first time, or even someone who's seasoned at it. So yeah, it's massively challenging, the Sound on Sound stuff, but thoroughly enjoyable, and there's nothing quite like seeing your name in print. That's thrilling, absolutely thrilling. I'm relatable. Thank you. That's nice. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm quite happy to get flown to NobCon. Yeah, fly me anywhere. I keep asking people to fly me to Moogfest and get me on the VIP thing, but no one seems to have taken that bait yet. But yeah, I'm happy to do it anywhere. Fly me somewhere and I'll talk about it. That's completely fine. So yes, well, cheers, Jim. I appreciate you being here. We're already heading to the 2-hour mark, which is probably going to be plenty, and I'm not going to survive too much longer than that. So yeah, that's good. That's not a wrap. No, we've still got a little bit of time. I'm just saying that we need to start bringing it down now. I think. Was there anything else important that I needed to say? I'm trying to think now. I don't know that there was. I mean, there's loads of stuff that we could have talked about product wise, but we just chat about things, whatever things people think are important, and that's interesting. I like that. I enjoy that. I get a chance to offload my worries and thoughts about stuff. Oh, Andrew, you in Sheffield? Ah, okay. Go out for a beer Friday night. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know what the itinerary is. I get the feeling that I'm actually chased by a fly. Get the feeling that I am, booked in to get set up and booked in to network with the other people there, which will be cool. Looking forward to that. But yeah, if I'm at a loose end, I'll let you know. The first year I went, they had Blancmange playing at the Sonora Festival. And that was fantastic. Although I did feel a bit lonely because that was the year before I started doing these sorts of videos, and so I was only really known for doing videos on software and Surface and audio interfaces. So it was like the year before that I'd been out to America to a Microsoft do, and people there would know me and go, hey, the guy does the Surface videos. That was my thing. It still is my thing to some degree. And that was great, but the first year I went to Synthfest, nobody had a clue where I was because I wasn't talking about hardware synthesizers much at all. And the only reason that I went to Synthfest that year was because I'd started writing about synthesizers for Gear News, and I felt that I need to immerse myself in this world a bit more. And that was the point. That was the seed that was laid that got me into Eurorack. So that must be 2 years ago, 3 years ago. 2, 3, I can't remember. I'll have to look that up. So that's what am I saying? So yeah, so that year I was there all totally by myself, and there was no one to hang out with. I just kind of, I was in a hotel by myself because that seemed like a good idea to stay the night because I was going to see Blancmange in the evening, and I did, and it was a good gig, but I didn't know anybody, say hello to anybody, and so shuffled off by myself. But that's okay. I don't mind that because that's kind of me sometimes. So yeah, thanks. I appreciate the offer of a beer. I will take you up on that if that appears. But for all I know, all you really want to do is take me up some alley and give me a good kick in. Because I don't know. How would I know? How would I know? Best way to start a chain on a Euro module, VCO or sequencer with CV. Any other ways? I don't know what that means. Best way to start a chain? What does that mean? JVF mastering. I'm not sure I understand you. Start a chain on a Euro. Do you mean a tune? I don't know. A chain on a Euro module VCO. Oh, anyway. Why don't you organise a Molten meetup on Saturday evening? Wow, that's a thought. But who would come? Do people come? Oh, I don't know. Like I say, I don't know what the itinerary is. I'm sure there's things I'm supposed to be doing, and dinners I have to go to, or talks, or bits and pieces. I don't know. A Molten meetup. That's an interesting idea. I don't know. It's like I was thinking to myself the other day, as one does. that maybe I should throw an album release party, because I have an album that's sitting over there waiting to be finished. It's so nearly finished that I should be finishing it soon. Excuse me. And maybe I should throw myself a party. But I was thinking, well, who would come to that? Who would come to that? If I was to book a room in Norwich, right, and turn up with my modular and to play a few bits and to give away copies of my album, because it's only going to be burnt onto CD at home, kind of thing. Give that out, give a bit of a live performance and have some beers. Would people actually come to that? Who would come to that? I mean, I could probably get the Norwich Synth Meet guys to come along, possibly. But I don't know, is that the sort of thing people do? It seems outrageous, but at the same time, if you're releasing something, why not? Why not? But then, play to an empty room. Who cares? Anyway. You saw me at 2017 with my boy. So yeah, it must have been 2016 then, the first time I went. So that makes this year the third year. That doesn't make sense. Oh yeah, 17 and 18, the fourth year. What? Oh, I don't know. Bloody hell. I can't work these out. I've had too much whiskey. Sonic Talk. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I know. Sonic Talk's at a slightly different level, I think. I mean, I know Nick a little bit. Only a little bit. I've spoken to him a few times. I think we now recognise... Well, he now might recognise me by sight. I've always recognised him, of course. So I've said hello to him a few times. We've chatted on Discord, bits and pieces. So that's cool. But, I mean, Gaz and Ben and people like that have got all that sorted out. They're talking to proper people who've got proper bits of gear in the background. I'm really hamming it up with this gear in the background. I'm trying my best to look professional. But, it's mostly crap all the way around here. It's no studio. So no, not quite there yet, I don't think. Not quite at that level, but who knows, still keeping at it, still keeping on. Is there any sound quality difference between lower end audio interfaces? No, not really. No, I think you can band sound quality into price brackets. I think it's more or less as simple as that. So you've got your sub £100 price bracket, and they're going to sound all right. I mean, they sound pretty good these days. You can do marvellous things with these things. And then you've probably got your sub £300. So you've got things like the Complete Audio 6, you've got Focusrite Scarletts, Presona Studios, things like that. They're all going to sound pretty good. And then those are going to sound the same as you get more expensive, you just get more ins and outs on them. But then you probably step up into the £500 price bracket with UAD, Audient, stuff like that, and so on. And I think you can generally... I think it'll be difficult to sit two sub £100 audio interfaces side by side and really see or hear anything different between them. They'll sound great. It's a really difficult thing to measure anyway. But, I think it's difficult to come up with something that's different. You might find the driver architecture is different and things work better or worse that way around. But that you can only work that out by giving it a go. Lots of people would come. Thank you. Cheese and wine in the shed. Yes. Album launch in Sheffield then. Maybe. I might have it ready by then. Yeah, but they'll have... No, you see, I'm getting way above my station because, at Synthfest, there'll be proper people giving proper performances. Real people doing it for real, like. I can only do one thing over and over again. I have no ability to change anything yet. Maybe it'll be different by then. Who knows? But that would be that. Yeah. No, I mean, I have aspirations to get to the point where I could pull off a proper set, But I mean, on Thursdays at Gringos, I did like 20 minutes, half an hour, and that was all right. But I was running out of things, to change, running out of buttons to press. That was the thing. What do I use for studio monitors? I've got a fabulous pair of Yamaha speakers, MS5s I think they are, little power speakers I bought 20 years ago. They're certainly big enough for my space here, but they're not awesome by any means. But my ability to mix an album is not based upon being able to hear anything very well, because I mean, I've got crappy ears, I'm in a crappy space, it's not very well acoustically anythinged, so I'm not kidding myself that there's I'm going to be able to do anything very clever. If I can somehow pull the sound together enough so it sounds all right, it sounds fairly balanced, then that's all I'm after, you know. So I'm not too worried studio monitors wise. I should have some KRKs or some Adam Audios or something, but I don't, and they're far too big anyway. Everyone always has far too big studio monitors. I really just don't have that kind of space. Don't have it. Oh, you're nice. Molten and Bo Beats Flow Jam. If I knew what a flow jam was, I think that sounds quite sexy. I'm imagining that means just jamming together, see what happens. I find that quite scary. I mean, we do that at the synth meets quite a lot, and it's just an increase of noise. Just keep adding more noise to stuff. Yeah, maybe. Focusrite have just bought Adam Audio, have they? Interesting. Focusrite now own quite a lot of stuff, don't they? Yeah. I mean, I need to do some more musical modular sessions. I mean, I haven't actually done a proper Molten modular video that has that name at the front with a number, you know, part of the series for quite a while, because I kind of got to a point where you're off and running and there's less of the learning things to do, if that makes sense. It's more to do with now developing and evolving. But I should do some more on purpose performances. I mean, again, with this thing, maybe that's what I try to do with this. And it's just been too hot to do it outside. I've actually been cooler to do it inside, funnily enough. But yeah, I mean, all of these ideas, I'm working towards having a rack in a case. I mean, I've got a new, that's got covered in stuff. I do have a new vintage case that I bought that I want to put some stuff in, you know, to get a bit more mobile, get out there. In fact, today I saw this great power supply, Eurorack power supply, which runs off USB 3, so you can power it from a USB brick. Fantastic! That could be the answer. Maybe. Yeah, maybe. Always lots of good ideas. Always wishing I was making more music. Always. Every time. I wish I didn't have... No, I didn't really about to say, I wish I didn't have a family to fuss about with. No, not at all. That's the best thing in the world. That aside, I wish I could spend more time making the music, because that's really interesting. I mean, I got a great reaction on Thursday. It was really, really nice. It went really well. And I thought, you know, again had this thought, yeah, I could do this. I could make some nice sounds, you know. Except for that one YouTube comment that says, yeah, not very inventive. It's kind of like, boom-ch, boom-ch. Yeah. Yeah, it is. Matt, you're very welcome. I'm so glad to have helped. You know, help is what it's all about. I get mad when I can't find out how to do something, or some problems going on, or people are just going, oh yeah, you need to do this or need to do that, without actually testing it and showing it and demonstrating it. So yeah, surface stuff, I've always enjoyed working on that and trying to show people that it's completely capable, and these are the hurdles you need to get over, because Windows does have hurdles, Surface Book does have hurdles, and I like the fact that I can help with that, because I have the knowledge, the power to help with that. I know the sort of places to look to see to get over those things, and with a bit of luck I'll keep at it. So if there's another Surface product that comes up, another Surface Pro at the very least, I'll be jumping onto that and giving it all the same rigour that I've given the Surface Pro 6. I don't have as much time for it as I used to have, but it's still very much there, and I think that's helpful. Just wish I could, yeah, I need to be 3 of me. That's what I need to be. Another small DIY build. Yes, I'm going to build. I've got, again, it's time, but I want to build a Bafaco kit that they sent me. I want to build one of those. I want to build my sample slicer, and I want to build the pulses. That's the plan before the Descartes Dream turns up. So I'll try to do one of those next week with a bit of luck. Good. Hello, Ape. Well done for turning up. I'm just about trying to shut this down, really. But there we go. So yeah, maybe I'll just talk you through my patch. Shall I talk you through my patch? This is the patch that I use at Gringo's. Oh, cables. That's why my cables don't work. I'm always running over them with my chair. So yeah, I'll just run through the top. You're not going to be able to see very well because I can't be asked to bring the camera in. So I've got a microphone in the way and lights and stuff. That's all going to mess it about. But I'll just talk about it. I mean, could I do that? Ooh, no, that's probably not going to work. But I will sort of describe it, and you'll hear it at the same time. Maybe that'll do something. There's a quick question there. How do I move my rack when I have a gig? Well, ideally, if I take 2 rows, which is what I aim to take, I can fit 2 rows in a suitcase. And with the brackets at the side here, I just unscrew it and I can just lay it down. It stays all patched and it fits in a suitcase, which is nice. Taking all 3, what I use is I've got a small PA over there, some Mackie Thump speakers, and they have these big sort of barrel-like soft case bags. And I use one of those, and I sit that here, and this sits in it flipping perfectly. I then just got some foam foam ends. Yeah, so I stick a foam end in, take that, stick it on the foam, sort of foam a bit around it, and it sits there. And I pull the thing and zip it closed, and I stick it on a trolley. I mean, provided no one sits on the face of it, then it should survive. I mean, it's not ideal, it's not awesome. That's another reason why I want to put it in some kind of case. I've got this fella here. Look at that, isn't it a beauty? It's a beauty, this thing. Look, it's a proper, almost like a steamer trunk. And the particularly good thing about this one is that the lid comes all the way off. It doesn't just hinge up, but the lid comes off, which is great. So I'm hoping, just see that, to stick some rows of your rack along in that, and then you just, take the lid down, take it off, and you're running. That's pretty awesome. That it's only made of cardboard, I suppose, but that's a bit of a plan. But that'll be some serious DIY, I think. Yes. Rolly, a question about Rolly this late in the day. Yeah, I've looked at their stuff. I did a review of their little Seaboard thing. I've got one over there somewhere that I'm going to need to resurrect when I get my Decar Stream built, because that's an MPE compatible thing, so I'm hanging on to that for that. Rolly stuff, great, high quality, weird. It's not like playing a piano, it's a completely different thing. But if you're into completely different things and weirdness and you want to go all the time, then it's awesome. If you don't want to do that, then it's no point to it, really. Cheers, Jim. Thanks for stopping by. See you soon. So, yeah. So, that's what I was going to do. I was going to do this one step at a time. So, I'm just going to talk through each one individually and then play them all together. So, to start off with, I have the Microfreak playing an organ patch. Which has this lovely detuning to it. Cheers, Modular Musing, you're welcome. So it has this wonderful detune to it, so it sounds a bit warbly and a bit like tapey. I've just got 2 chords going around which are playing on the Microfreak sequencer itself. I tried to use the Hermod sequencer and didn't get very far, so I just went to this. And then this is running the clock into the whole thing. So we've got these 2 chords going round. And I've got it running through the black stereo delay from Erica Synths, which is great. And I use a filter, which is really nice. I mean, without the delay, it's quite dry. Yeah, I feel that the Microfreak definitely needs something. You do have a delay. No, you don't. Do you have any sort of effects at all? I don't think you do. And that in some ways is its only flaw, or one of its flaws. But once you add a little bit of delay to that, it's really, really nice. So the next up, I added this much later on, it's just the even VCO running a single note, taking the even output, and I've put it through the Polyvox filter with a slow LFO. Just doing a little sweep. There's a bit of a kind of a bottom end thing, I suppose. That's nice enough. Next up is the pluck. Now the pluck I've got triggered by the lattice here, which is doing 12 notes, just through the micro scale, giving me a C, an F and a G, because this is a C and an F chord here. And I'm running it through the magneto, which I still don't understand. I don't get the magneto at all. But sometimes it can create interesting sounds. If I take the wet sound out, I've just got that. And then I turn the wet up and you've got some stuff going on. Then every now and again if I turn the repeats up, it sort of does this build. That's really nice. I have no idea why it does that or where that comes from. Do I have it on reverse? No, I don't. So, don't, but it's interesting. I can bring that in. That's just sitting there as a bedrock. And then this is the VCO 3340, which you looked at earlier, going through the Jove. So I take the filter off. It's just that going through, and then I've got the filter having its cut off affected by a pattern coming out of the Turing machine down here. Oh, I broke it. Oh, there we go. Again, it's just playing a single note because I don't have a whole lot of sequences going on. So I've just got that going on underneath, and it's being gated by the disting. I was gating it with the maths originally, but maths is big, and I'm only using it as an envelope, so I thought disting might have an envelope, and that sort of works. I don't know, it's not a great lot of control, but there's some there. So I've got that going on. Then this is a sine wave coming out of the STO. That's being sequenced from the variegate, I think. So I thought it would just be something annoying to stick in there every now and again. Then I've got some drums. So I've got a bit of drums coming from the Pico drums and being run by the Random Rhythm. Random Rhythm is still an excellent module. It's just big. And I'm only getting it to run to do these two things at the moment. But it does allow me to bring stuff in. And to bring it out, and to change it around, to maybe re-dice it. Nice. I just wish it was a slightly more compact module somehow. Don't know. I'm still exploring the Random Rhythm. I think it's a great thing. I just don't always know whether it fits because with the whole drums in my rig is always a troublesome area that I'm still trying to really get to grips with. Then the Bassimilus Alteratus Alta. I don't know about this thing. I mean, it works well if you're throwing a whole load of modulation at it. I just don't think it's my scene, really. I keep wanting to really like it, and I only kind of like it because I can't really get anything out of it that is particularly inspiring. It's a bit percussion, noisy, you know, weird, interesting. I can do weird stuff with it, and that's okay. So I don't know, I keep trying to use it, I'm just not completely sure I know what I'm doing with that. And then I've got the graphic VCO in drum mode, which then just takes one of the wavetables and just does a rhythmic thing to it. I've got that running from the Variegate 4 Plus and a lot of repeat. And I really like that. Like that a lot. I'm going to use that again, but I'm going to use that all the time. With this, don't know really. Graphic VCO are also a little bit over complex, and I kind of end up deciding that wavetable is just. I don't know that that's completely my scene. I feel analog a lot more, but that sounds nice to me. I mean, I could change the waveform. Sounds a bit similar, doesn't it? That's the thing, presets, man, drives me nuts. You just end up scanning through. Oh, do I like this one? Do I like this one? Don't know. Anyway, stick them all together, right? If I start off with me record and my bass underneath. Somebody asked me what I use for mixing. At the moment, VCAs mostly. I use the VCAs, and I've got a couple of little mixer modules in there for a couple of things, but mostly I'm doing it with VCAs. Oh yeah. Oh, that was a rough one. Yeah, something like that. So perhaps I'll keep that together for a day or two and try to do another recording of it later in the week, because it's nice. I like it. I mean, from a music making point of view, I literally sat down. I wanted to do 2 chords from the Micro Freak, and then I just started adding stuff to it. That was the plan, and that's what happened. And so it's nice because it makes me feel like I could do that, and that sometimes that's enough. Just a couple of chords and a thing. Like I say, I like to work towards the idea of using something else to change, to put in a change, to put in a middle 8 or a bridge or a, something. Because I don't know. But then there's also a lot of stuff going on. It doesn't need to be quite so much stuff going on. But again, it brings you back to the songwriting idea that if you were singing, you only need one thing going on. I mean, you sing with guitar all the time or with a single line or something. That's easy. Whereas I feel I need to fill and more stuff when it's just instrumental. See, lots of thoughts. Deep, man. Very deep thoughts. Anyway, should draw it to a close now because time's getting on. I always feel 2 hours is too long, and here we are at 2 hours 15. But so I really appreciate you all turning up, having a look and poking your nose into what we're doing at the minute. I've appreciated the comments and the chat. It's always been great. I'm always amazed at how we're able to sit here and chat about load of nonsense for a couple of hours. It's just mind-boggling, and I'm so appreciative of you lot turning up and getting involved in that. It's fantastic. I love it. I just love it. Weird. Now, will we do one in August? I don't know. I've got a week off, going to Paris for a week, and then I need to spend some time with the kids and stuff over the holidays. So, might be a bit more low-key for the next month and into September, but we'll see. We'll see. Also away camping, I think, the end of August. But then the bank holiday's slightly earlier, so maybe I'll be back that following weekend. I don't know. So we'll see. Just stay tuned. We'll see what's going on. And we'll see where we get to. I hope to try to make a bit more music, to do a bit more of the little synths, to do a bit of Descartes' Dream. All those things are hopefully going to happen over this time. But I'm going to have, as I say, I'm going to be balancing children and family and life and stuff, and not getting too hot all at the same time. So that's going on. So I will try to do one in August, Andrew. Thank you. That's great. Okay, cool. Oh, nice one. So yeah, we'll send your vocal lines in, and I'll feel embarrassed about those for you. Modular Musings, the magneto build, because you have the feedback under the 4 tape heads enabled, the green light. I thought it just meant that they were on. Oh, I see, I don't know. I need to spend time with the magneto. I don't get it. Try the mute all function lattice to I don't know. People know more about this than I do, obviously. Anyway, so yes, need to bring it to an end. Thanks so much for watching. We'll be here again. Keep your eye out on the channel for stuff. Please feel free to throw me money via Patreon. I really appreciate it. I've had a couple of donations tonight. That's so exciting. So exciting. That's awesome. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Kraken, whoever your name was. That was great. And DB, I really appreciate those little nods. Those are great. Fantastic. We're still bubbling away around $200 on Patreon, which is awesome. I'm amazed by that. That's enabled me to buy this rather nice shirt, especially for this evening, which is great. So, join in. I'm enthralled. I'm enthralled by this idea that I could keep on doing this. I'm just keeping it on going. That I'm writing about this stuff, talking about it, that I'm making music with it, that I'm able to share this journey with people and just get excited about these things. So many good things to come. So many more things you could be talking about, but I really need to shut the heck up. So I will. So thank you so much for turning up. I appreciate it. And in the meantime, go make some tunes. Oh, I see. It would have been good if that faded up into something then, but then it didn't. It didn't. Let's try it here. Hey, maybe in August we'll do an all-nighter.